Alessandro and Harvestman combined forces to create this. And I just want to have a look at this and give you an idea of what kind of stuff we can do with this. Comes with little patch cables. These are also patch points which can work here, here, here. Basically samples on this side with patch points, samples on this side, same samples with patch points. Up in here, and you'll find this in this extensive manual, a single page, which will let you know a little bit about what's going on up here, which is really kind of delay lines and reverse and digital freeze and things like that, and a jumper point here to put a little element of randomness in. We've got what you could think of as an LFO. There's the speed of the LFO, and this is the amount of modulation. Actually, it does a lot more because it's the controls for anything you patch in here is also routed through here. So you can have multiple effects off of these. Instead of just one LFO, it can be doing all sorts of other things depending on what you patched in. Some of the things you can patch in, I'll show you, some dissonance and some crunchers, things like that, cross modulation, reverse for the sample, things like that, and invert for the LFO and all of that, but that's getting a little too far off. And then up in here on the X jumpers, these are the A's and B's because you've got A samples and B samples. Up here on the X's, these are delays, flanging effects, things like that, freeze value, A and B. Basically the same on either side. A lot of parallel symmetry in this machine. Overall volume, overall on. Mono out speaker, which is disengaged when it's jacked out like this. On off power supply regulator. There's a little jumper header here, so you can do some reprogramming, and there's promises that there's some things coming with that. So there's two ways to patch. You can patch with the cables, joining the top row to the bottom row, and of course you could experiment and join things that aren't supposed to be joined and all of that. These cables are quite interesting. They're very small, simple jumper cables. Hard to see that there. Anyway. And then these ones are like the old little plugs that you saw on hard drives in the very old days where you'd reset the jumpers on the hard drives. And these things here are just simply storage. So you've got 16 samples, both the same on either side, and these smoothly move you from sample to sample. This is the rate of sample playback for either of the two samples. This is the left or right, or the sampler A, sampler B mix that blends between them. And as I said, these are modulations, and that's your overall volume out. I notice when you turn it on, it takes a second or two for the grand computer in there that's programmed to sort of test everything and see if it's ready to go. Bass sample. Different sample again on this side of the machine. I think these are all samples off Alessandro's album. It'll be interesting to see whether we can hack in and add things in. The electronic design was all done by Harvestman and makes really interesting modular gear. You want to go to his site. So you can see the frequency goes right down to nothing. Okay, let's start putting some things in here. Let's get started. Throw a little distortion on that. There's a bit cruncher and a regular distortion, and of course you can combine them both. there's the modulation, okay? Fast. Done with that, you can go over here. Let's set something up over here. Add a little delay to both of them. And I really quite like the fact that I'm quite convinced it's not a toy, because there's an awful lot of flexibility. If you like noise kind of gears, and you're looking for live improv kind of machines, got a lot of range, and both these larger encoders allow a pretty smooth sort of fade in, fade out. Of patching gives it a lot of unpredictability. So if you want predictability in presets, obviously you don't want to be here. But you know, pretty small. Pretty small. Where's that camera? Little transparent little buttons. Keep it off the table for contact points. Amount of feedback now on the echo. So it's pretty easy if you want to distort. If you want something more atmospheric, you can do that. I find the controls are pretty smooth. I found the circuit board a little tacky, as if either the grease hasn't been fully cleaned off or something like that. One area that I really miss compared to other machines like Tombugs and all the other 4
Mass and Eric Archers that I use is the lack of any kind of LED for rate controls. It's just fun, but it's not in there, so that's the kind of thing I think about adding in, particularly for rates and for sample feedback. But it's got a surprising variety of sound available.